Well, hello YouTube, it's me Fortmaster, and welcome to a different reaction. This is Cowboys and Aliens when Eastwood exploded ET by Pointless Hub. So if you haven't heard of Pointless Hub before, it's another channel run by the same guy that runs Alternate History Hub. And it's basically, unlike Alternate History Hub that's, like, focused very much on, alternate history scenarios and, all that sort of fun, which I have a lot of fun watching. Pointless Hub is a channel where he just kind of talks about, anything, really. And I've watched him for years at this point, and I decided, hey, this looks like a fun video. Might as well do a reaction to it, see how well you guys like it. So, God, yeah, Cowboys and Aliens. That is a movie I have not thought of in a long time. And thinking about it, like what little bit I remember about it now, I can't remember what I thought of it at the time when I first saw it. Because honestly, the alien tech, with the weird, wrist gun thing, that was kind of cool looking. And the fact that the fact that the aliens came to Earth to find gold, out of all the reasons, you'd think that if you had the ability to travel through space and in between star systems, you'd have the technology to mine asteroids and something like that. So the fact that you come to Earth for gold is kind of funny. But I loved how the ship itself kind of became a mine, where it went into it dug itself into the Earth, and the mine worked its way outward from it. It was really cool and a really fun concept. So again, yeah, really stupid premise. Specifically the fact that the aliens were coming to Earth for gold. But other than that, I think I remember having a really fun time with it. Because I just remember there was that one scene where they had to spend the night in, the riverboat that they found upside down in the middle of the desert. Oh, God, that was a weird one. So, yeah, this, hopefully this is going to be a fun video. So, yeah, of course, as always, original videos linked in the description if you haven't seen it for some reason. Corner video will lead to my Let's Play of the day. And if you like this video or any other video that I make, I'd very much appreciate it if you gave the video a like and subscribe to my channel, because my main goal for this year is to hopefully hit 5,000 subscribers, and at the current rate I'm going, that's totally doable thanks to every person that thinks that my channel's worth subscribing to. But yeah, with all that out of the way, let's get this thing started then, shall we?
I'm a simple man. I like simple things. Apple pie, summer barbecues, movies with titles that tell you exactly what they're about. Planet of the Apes. Snakes on a plane. Freddy versus Jason. What's an Edge of Tomorrow? Sounds confusing. I want a movie where I know there's gonna be a kangaroo and his name is Jack.
What the hell? God, that Kangaroo Jack. The thing is, I've never actually seen the Kangaroo Jack movie in its entirety. The first time I ever actually, heard the entire plot was from a Nostalgia Critic review. And the fact that the entire, premise of the movie, which, again, I thought, a lot of people for the longest time was because, talking kangaroo and stuff like that. No, the fact that the whole thing with the movie was the fact the kangaroo only speaks in a single dream sequence, and then for the rest of the movie, it's just a normal kangaroo. That, oh God, whoever made that decision, I hope they were fired.
Cowboys and Aliens. What a name. What a premise. Tells you all you need to know.
Yeah, it definitely
Maybe
is a
Billy
weird
the Kid
premise.
Will gun down Alf. The possibilities are truly endless. Cowboys and Aliens is one of those movies that you've certainly forgotten about until now. Or you've just never heard about it at all.
Again, yeah, as I said, it was one of those movies that I had completely forgotten about and only remembered after I saw this video pop up in my feed.
It is 14 years old by this point. It is very possible that many people who watch this video were actual toddlers or at least very small children when this film premiered. The march of time is unstoppable and death comes for us all. Despite having a name straight out of a sci-fi original movie, Cowboys and Aliens was oddly stacked when it came to talent on the screen and behind the scenes. This was directed by Jon Favreau right off of Iron Man 1 and 2.
Wait, really?
This starred Daniel Craig during his peak Bond years, as well as Harrison Ford.
You get this through your thick Indian skull.
Granted, this was after Indiana Jones 4, but it was at least before Indiana Jones 5. This movie was gonna make money. Oh god.
It did not. No, I mean, again, like, we never saw it in theaters. I think how we saw it is, like, I think I actually have the DVD somewhere downstairs, and that was the first time we watched it. We watched it for the first time on DVD. I don't know whether we got it for a birthday or whether it was just like one of those bargain bin movies, but again, not important at the moment.
Somehow, even with all of this going for it, Cowboys and Aliens wasn't the breakout hit of 2011. It actually lost a lot of money. $75 million. It lost its opening weekend to the Smurfs. Maybe audiences back then just really wanted to see Neil Patrick Harris playing Guitar Hero.
Again, like, the Smurfs, another one of those movies where I didn't watch it in theaters, just got it on DVD and saw it. And man, am I glad I didn't see that in theaters.
This way! Talk this way!
How did people not respond to Cowboys and Aliens? Those were the two coolest things of 1953. Whatever it might have been, this movie popped off like a mistimed firecracker and disappeared without a trace. Most forgetting it ever existed, and the only ones who did, only doing so because of that dumbass name. Even back then, that name was all it had going for it. I remember each commercial being seen as one big joke. One of those trailers that never seemed to leave the movie theater. Like Black Adam.
The hierarchy of power.
And just like Black Adam, this movie
failed.
too was based on a comic book. It's the late 90s.
Wait, it was based... Well, I mean, I was... Okay, so actually thinking about it, I mean, with how Hollywood has been going for a while, of course it was an adaptation. Of course, you know, somebody in Hollywood wouldn't have actually made a purely original script off of something like that, so... Yeah, okay.
Scott Mitchell Rosenberg is making a name for himself in the comic book industry, not by writing comics or drawing them, but by financing them, just buying the rights. After Sony made a movie based on The Men in Black, which was published in part by Malibu Comics, good old Scott wanted to use this golden opportunity to get into Hollywood, baby. Rosenberg pitched another comic to studios called Tex. Tex was just a Western. Not like a Western with monsters or a Western with Johnny Depp as a lizard, just a Western. Studios didn't give a shit about just a Western. Why bother spending a few million to get the rights to a generic Western when you could just make your own? So Scott brainstormed a more
I can definitely
unique
see
idea.
that. Imagine that, somebody in Hollywood actually having a good idea.
If nobody was interested in just another Western, what if we added aliens? Now we're talking. That got Hollywood interested real fast. Universal bought the idea. This cowboy movie with aliens was ready for production. And as far as Scott was concerned, he could now ride off into the sunset knowing that his place in Hollywood history was absolutely secured.
Yeah... We're gonna get...
So Wild Wild West fucking bombed.
Wild Wild West, Jim West, Desperado, Rough Rider, no you don't want nada.
It bombed so hard that Hollywood collectively agreed to never make a wacky western ever again. The Cowboys and Aliens idea was unintentional collateral of a Will Smith misfire.
Oh, jeez. Of course it was. Of course it was. You know, I forget how long some of these ideas can sit in the vaults of, you know, Hollywood studio vaults and stuff like that. And then I remember, oh yeah, like the Minecraft movie was in development hell for over a decade as well. So, yeah, okay.
This poor film got tied to a horse and dragged away. Everyone forgot about Cowboys and Aliens. By the mid-2000s, you could say that comic book movies were getting popular. If this was a trend, then Rosenberg was going to write it. Why not turn his dead Cowboys and Aliens idea into a graphic novel? And this dumb plan worked.
Oh, okay, wait a second. So, Cowboys and Aliens wasn't based off of a comic. It was sold as an idea to a movie studio, which they then buried because of external factors. That was then adapted into a comic. That was then adapted into a movie. Okay, Geez, okay, talk about you're starting to get to, like, some weird cross of Broken Telephone and, like, 10 Degrees of Kevin Bacon there.
The graphic novel sold great. It was a top seller. This got Universal interested again. Cowboys and Aliens was finally greenlit. And the rest is history. Oh yeah, this video was about an actual movie.
Okay, now I actually want to think, because again, like, before this video, I didn't know Cowboys and Aliens was based off a comic. So now I want to look up to see, like, what the differences between the comic and the movie actually were, because you know there are differences. And I want to see, like, if those differences were partially responsible for the movie's, to put it gently, lukewarm reception. Not even lukewarm, actually.
So a guy wakes up in the desert. He doesn't know who he is. Got a case of explosive amnesia. Just a blank slate, like a New Vegas protagonist. All he has is a picture in his pocket and a Monster Hunter slinger. While he's doing the best he can, these chuckle nuts show up.
Turn around and start walking.
They try to apprehend him. It goes pretty well.
No one dared to make a slip. The stranger there abundant had a big iron on his hip.
Imagine losing a 3v1 so hard, the guy you attacked kills you all and steals your dog. And your dog doesn't even care. Look at him, he doesn't even give a shit. Man's...
I mean, at the end of the day, again, there's are we sure this wasn't actually part of, like, a Fallout New Vegas mod or something? Because that basically sounds like some sort of weird quest where you get dog meat or something.
Best friend my ass. After looting the corpses of these beginner mobs, the mysterious stranger heads into town. Just breaks into the first house he sees, like that crackhead did to my family Christmas that one fateful morn. This is where he meets the best character in the movie, Mr. Krabs.
Only two kinds of men get shot. Criminals and victims. Well, which one are you?
Clancy Brown is the town preacher, and he is my favorite character. That wasn't a joke. Wish he was in it more.
Ah, God, I forgot he died.
Meanwhile, in a tranquil field, some cows explode.
Money makes you soft.
You see, kids? That's an important lesson.
Cows
Sometimes,
explode.
Alcoholism does save lives. This town's got a problem, and it's Paul Dano.
You ungrateful for our business?
Oh, I'm sorry. Percy.
God. Oh, God. Again, I mean, I know I don't have, a gun license myself. I have shotguns enough to know, the basics of gun handling, fairly well. And the fact first rule, always treat it like they're loaded. Always. Oh, God.
His name's Percy in this. His dad runs the town, so like a spoiled brat, he thinks he shouldn't have to pay the bar tab. Percy just starts robbing people in the town.
In the hat. Let's go. Much obliged.
But our mysterious stranger isn't feeling too generous.
Maybe you don't know who I am.
Instead of shooting him for that, Percy for some reason shoots off a round in some random direction without looking.
Where the hell did he come from?
This is...
I mean, you say for some reason, but I think that just kind of goes to demonstrate just how stupid he actually is. Like, instead of, firing it up into the air or into the ground, no, he just goes and points it in a random direction in the middle of a, populated town. God, I mean, if that wasn't to show just how stupid he actually was, yeah.
This is an important lesson in gun safety. Don't do that. After committing assault with a deadly weapon as a whoopsie-doopsie, the sheriff decides enough is enough and throws Percy Jackson in jail, even though everyone is still afraid of his dad. So who exactly is Percy's dad? The man everyone's so
Harrison
scared
Ford,
of.
yeah.
It's Harrison Ford, the Red Hulk himself. Probably could have guessed that. He's right.
I haven't seen that movie yet. Is it any good?
Right on the poster. Pretty safe bet he was gonna be either a cowboy or an alien. If you're wondering why Ford was even in this thing, well, at the time, he'd really just been doing supporting roles for dramas and rom-coms for like a decade. Whatever pays the bills, you know?
Yeah, I guess.
What do you want to be?
I want to be an actor.
You're gay. I can deal with that.
So this was kind of a return to form for the guy. It's all uphill from here. Yay. Harrison Ford is a rich cattle rancher who basically controls the entire town, the Doug Dimmadome of this Dimmadump. And now he has to waste time riding into town to save his chud son from getting shipped to Arkham. Our mysterious stranger is also wanted for his mysterious past. The sheriff sees him on a wanted poster and arrests him too. He robbed a stagecoach, allegedly. Where's the CCTV footage? Where's the evidence? I don't know. Harrison Ford finally gets into town and starts making a ruckus. He sees that the sheriff arrested both his son and the ass who robbed his stagecoach.
I knew you'd come for me, Pa.
Shut up! I'll deal with you later.
Wow, what a small world. This sure is a tense standoff. Is the sheriff and Harrison Ford about to have a showdown? How will this end? Who cares? Aliens show up. I entirely forgot that there was supposed to be aliens in this.
God, this is what... you can sum up this movie really well. It's like sort of, like, for the most part, like, for the good portion of the beginning, it's very much just a Western movie happens, and then aliens. And we've gotten to the point of, and then there's aliens.
Yes, I forgot the part where the cows exploded. Wow, Cowboys and Aliens at the same time. The movie truly did what it said. It met the expectations. Sure hope this isn't the highlight of the entire film. Those wacky aliens start doing all your standard alien things. Abducting people, shooting lasers, splattering blood on the windows.
Which I have to remember, because I'm trying to remember, like, why were they abducting people in this movie? Because if I remember correctly, like, part of the thing was, like, they were just, like, slowly, like, mind-wiping and killing the people they kidnapped, right? So, I mean, like, how, like, wouldn't it have been easier just to, kill everybody so that, humans weren't near their mining site?
Not so sure about that last one. After half the town gets yoinked away, the other half forms a posse to get their family back. They'll need Daniel Craig's help because apparently having an alien gun on your arm is pretty useful. Thing is pretty much an anti-air gun. Oh my god. They all head out on what will surely be an underwhelming adventure.
Unfortunately. Cowboys, no aliens.
For a movie called Cowboys and Aliens, there's not a lot of aliens. More like cowboys featuring aliens. And Knuckles. Outside of that initial attack, they have like 2 other scenes. One where it's just an alien in a boat, and the other is them yoinking people again. Yeah, there's the obligatory big battle by the end, but for that first hour and a half, they have like 5 minutes of screen time. The title should really just be this. On Google, it's listed as a Western sci-fi, but really that Western is doing the heavy lifting. You're not gonna see any cowboys drifting their horses into UFOs or little green men getting domed by a Remington. Instead, this is all played completely straight. It's played so straight, we barely have aliens at all. It's just a Western that happens to have aliens. Sometimes. Now,
I mean, thinking about it, this sounds very much like this was a casualty of the whole, Will Smith Wild Wild West fiasco, where, something like this, Cowboys and Aliens, seems like it would do so much better if you played it, a bit more goofy and stuff like that, but no, if you're playing it super serious like this, yeah, I'm definitely see where all the issues come in.
I'm conflicted here, because this is both a bad and good thing. Because while I would have wished for more alienish aliens, I'll get to that later, I also don't think it would have improved anything, because the cowboy parts are the best part of the movie. Whenever anyone says they like Cowboys and Aliens, which is a very rare occurrence, I wonder if it's because they actually like the whole movie, or if they just remember the first act. Because I thought I loved this movie, I was excited to revisit it, but I guess all I remembered were the parts with Daniel Craig being a mysterious badass. Look, it was 2011, I just finished Red Dead Redemption, I was a dumb kid. I liked gritty realism, and I liked westerns, so combining the two just scratched that itch. I guess I just forgot the movie drops this after the 40-minute mark. Once the aliens appear, the quality ironically goes down. Like,
yeah, because again, it's that whole thing where it's like, the best part is the gritty realism, but there's nothing realistic about aliens, so, you know, the realism starts plummeting after that.
a bad movie randomly interrupted a far better one. Maybe the confrontation between the sheriff and Harrison Ford would have been more interesting, but I'll never know, because the Covenant attacked.
The Covenant attacked, yeah.
As much as I wanted to love this movie again and reclaim some of that lost innocence, I just can't. There are good elements here, yeah, but they're muddled down by so many less interesting factors. And I don't mean bad here. Nothing in this movie is particularly bad. It's just not interesting. Hey, speaking of not interesting, let's talk about the characters. Aang from The Last Airbender is here. He wants to save his grandpa.
Is that really the same actor? Oh god, wait, when did the Last Airbender movie come out? Wait, Cowboys and Aliens 2? Was this a part of the Conan O'Brien show? Okay. Weird. Now back on topic. Yeah, so Cowboys and Aliens came out in 2011. Movie 2010, so that they came out a year before. Oh, okay. Jeez, okay. Time just compresses.
That's his only trait. Man, I feel so sorry.
Whoop.
That's his only trait. Man, I feel so sorry for this kid. What do you think his life is like today? Knowing that most of the world will only remember you for being in Shyamalan's War Crime and Jon Favreau's second worst movie. It's gotta be hard. He just had a string of bad luck, I guess. After Cowboys and Aliens, Noah Ringer disappeared off the planet. There are no recent pictures of him. The official Noah Ringer Facebook page and Instagram haven't posted in 10 years.
Jeez,
now, according to
really?
an unverified Reddit comment from an anonymous stranger who claims to know him in real life, he's apparently doing pretty well. Is this true? I don't know. I sure hope so. Just like I hope that my dog Flopsy is actually on that farm. If he is doing well after all of this, then good for him. Now, after all of that said, yeah, in this movie he's pretty terrible. Like, he was never a good actor, let's be real here.
It's time for you to stop doing this!
All his lines are stilted and weird, and he just looks perpetually worried. I thought that was a thing that Shyamalan made him do, but apparently he's just like that. Harrison Ford is Woodrow Dollarhide, the wealthy cattle rancher.
Woodrow Dollarhide. Oh, jeez. That does not even sound like a real name. Now I have to, like, how is that spelled? Jesus, Dollarhide is an actual name, though it's spelled with 2 L's instead of 1. Is that okay? Again, like I've said it before, but with a lot of these like videos, like in so many pieces of media, you have these last names that just don't seem real, and yet they are.
The wealthy cattle rancher. Get it? Dollar Hide.
Yeah.
And he's rich. I take it back, this movie's actually a hidden classic, unappreciated for its time.
Kill us now!
He's Harrison Ford doing a cowboy accent.
What the hell does Taggart think he's doing?
Will his accent remain consistent for the whole film?
Tell him he's a fool.
Will anyone's accent remain consistent? His second in command is an Apache guy named Nat Colorado. He really looks up to Ford for some reason.
You get this through your thick Indian skull.
He's just so gosh darn grateful that when he was orphaned as a kid, Dollarhide and his men didn't let him starve. How kind. At least Harrison Ford says that Nat was like a son to him in his dying final moments. So that's something.
I always dreamed of having a son like you.
Man, Percy must really suck. Imagine being such a shitty son that it cured a 19th century veteran of the Indian Wars of his racism.
Again, Percy is a stupid individual. And, I mean, on the one hand, I can partially believe, spoiled rich kid, that partially does it. But I also want to see, who's his mother? Like, what, like, half brain dead bimbo did Harrison sleep with to birth that?
Get this through your thick.
We're introduced to Percy robbing the townsfolk in broad daylight before things go wrong. But like, how did things ever go right in the past? How did he successfully rob people before? How did anyone in this armed society ever let him get away with that?
Actually, okay, that's a thing. I learned this recently when I was watching a video talking about, like, misconceptions about the Old West and stuff like that. And, like, a lot of these towns, like, the only person that was actually armed was the sheriff. They were not armed societies, quote unquote. Like, the only people that had, like, weapons were, you know, either criminals or lawmen or, you know, bounty hunters, if, you know, they were actually around. So it's not out of the realm of possibility that, you know, the average person, you know, didn't have a firearm.
And who cares, because after he gets abducted, he becomes a good guy.
Run these ledgers back to the bank for me, will you?
He's a good guy now. All it took was a lot of probing, many times.
I mean, if I remember correctly, I think his brain was essentially scrambled, so I don't even think he remembered most of his life up to that point.
Too many riddles indeed. Then there's Clancy Brown, the only townsfolk who actually does something. He helps Jake when he's hurt, teaches Sam Rockwell how to shoot, and finally, he gives his life to save Aang. And this little shit doesn't even care. Like, Clancy Brown saved the kid by distracting the alien and got killed over it. And Aang didn't even attend his shitty little funeral.
What are you all choked up about?
I'm worried about my grandpa.
He saw a man die and never thinks about him ever again. This movie has such a strange imbalance of a...
Okay, again, like, that's another thing I love about Pointless Help. It's just, like, his editing is really funny. I absolutely love it.
Cast. The characters that have a personality are basically useless.
You're always my favorite.
And the characters that do everything don't have a personality. So, Daniel Craig, the man with no name, until like 20 minutes in, then we learn his name is Jake. I really like Jake, at first. A lot of the reason the first act is so good is because he's so mysterious. Very few words.
You know how far west we are?
Maybe he's a dummy.
Very Eastwoodish, as in he stands there and looks menacing in a western. That's it. Then the aliens attack. The general rule seems to be that the more alien action there is, the less cool Daniel Craig seems. And also anytime he has to speak above a low mutter.
We were flying.
Daniel Craig's just constantly slipping in and out of that accent. It's just bouncing all over the place. Sometimes it sounds a little New Jersey.
Well, let's say we find those people first, and then you can take your best shot at collecting.
Or Midwest.
Would you shut up? I'm thinking.
There's moments he's really just aiming for general American.
I mean, yeah. Well, I mean, that's kind of that's funny though, because like, how many years later, when like Knives Out came out, and he's playing like, and he's playing the detective in that with like the accent, like oh god, what was his name in that one? Benoit Blanc, that's it. And he has that very particular way of speaking or something like that. It's been a while since I've actually seen the movie. But like he keeps that accent like throughout the entire movie. In fact, both movies. So I mean, the fact that he was having such a hard time in this movie, like was it just the fact of him like being not that into the movie and not trying that hard, or was it just, you know, him being less used to keeping an accent constantly or something like that? Like, what was going on there?
Anything that isn't British. I like the idea of him slowly being revealed to have been a criminal in the past. Even leading a gang of thieves, which means he probably did a lot worse than just robbing a wagon. Him getting his mind wiped, funnily enough, made him a better person. Other than that, his main personality trait is that he has a gun strapped to his arm. Granted, that is a pretty cool personality trait. Yeah. Olivia Wilde is just an alien. She's aloof and kind of odd, but really doesn't do a lot until she literally dies. Being reborn right before the gang got scalped by some Apaches. The movie tries so hard to make the audience care about her, and I just don't. Like, she's probably the 10th most interesting character here. And Jet, our badass loner, just loses his mind when she dies.
She's not gone!
You knew her for like a day, man. You tackled her off her horse like 20 minutes ago. The movie tries again to make us care about her dying after she sacrifices herself, committing a whole-ass challenger to stop the aliens. I still feel nothing. Like Aang when Mr. Krabs died. Oh yeah, Sam Rockwell is here too. He sucks at shooting a gun. He's sometimes funny.
He said the whore.
This was made right after Iron Man 2, okay? John wanted to use them. When you picture Cowboys versus Aliens, what do you think of? Little green men blasting at guys riding horses, right? Like, the fun is taking things that should never interact and
having them interact,
together.
yeah, exactly.
Like Deadliest Warrior. Or Smash Bros. What happens if we take these aliens with lasers and tractor beams and have them fight cowboys? With lever actions. Something magical, that's for sure. There's so many ways you could do this idea. Have it be horrendously one-sided as the aliens obliterate everyone.
Mars
Have the
attacks?
cowboys surprisingly win after getting a hold of wacky alien weaponry. So many ways to make this idea work. And Cowboys and Aliens does none of them. Look, it's an alright movie, for what it is. The action is serviceable. It has funny moments at times. The only thing I really hate about it is the wasted potential. These are not aliens. They are monsters. The only alien thing they do is fly around and abduct people and dissect them. These things came from light years away to kill frontiersmen with their claws. The movie promoted itself as an interesting mashup of two genres, but in execution, it's just another monster flick. It only delivers on its premise for like 2 scenes, and even that's a technicality. Now, digging deep into the movie, as in, I watched some behind the scenes, you get what they're aiming for. This is a gritty western with aliens, not a sci-fi movie with cowboys.
You want to use very classic western images and backdrops, and you want to populate it with a cast that feels very authentic to it.
So those aliens had to match the same energy as a serious western flick. Can't have any silly saucers beaming people up. We need realism here. Have them grab people with metal chains instead. The aliens' technology was something out of the Wild West itself. Or hell, Wild Wild West. More steampunk than otherworldly.
And again, I mean, I hopefully he'll actually get into it when, you know, talking about why the aliens were even there. But the fact that one of their main reasons for being on Earth was gold, which gold isn't even that plentiful on Earth.
They played the idea completely straight. Almost too straight. There's a difference between playing something serious and being embarrassed to go too far out there. What I'm getting at here is, why don't the aliens fight with guns? Like, 1 or 2 of them do, sure, they use their arm cannon things, but most of these guys just tackle people. Did they really think it was gonna just be that one-sided if the aliens had guns? Did they think it was gonna be silly? The Covenant versus Woody's Roundup? I don't know. Figuring out how these aliens would defend themselves must have been a huge hurdle for the brilliant minds of Roberto Orci, Alex Kurtzman, and Damon Lindelof.
Oh no, I didn't. Oh no. Oh no, of course. Oh no.
Oh, now it makes sense. So I'm assuming that they didn't want the aliens to be too overpowered, which is why none of them have guns, and the ones that do are like the worst shots imaginable. Look at this final battle. Look at how many explosions are completely random.
Okay, actually thinking about it, like, also, why are they completely naked? Why is it that in so many, like, of the, like, even if you go back to, you know, the whole, like, thing with little green men, like, they're still, like, they're completely nude. What kind of society do they have where, one, they don't value, like, whatever added protection, you know, armor or clothing can have, and also don't have, like, any, like, concept of seeming, like, privacy or just modesty or anything like that. Like, what is going on with them?
What are these guys shooting at? This guy has a cavalry charge coming right at him, and he misses everything. I'm sorry, man, you deserve to die for that.
I mean, admittedly, I could see that one where, like, it seems like, I mean, as we've seen, as it was shown earlier in the movie, you have to kind of, like, it's not like there's, like, targeting systems built into these. It's very weird where, like, they're just sort of, like, point and shoot wherever, like, you're looking sort of deal. So, I mean, it could be the fact, like, I forget what happened earlier in the scene, but, like, it's like he can't get his bearings right to, like, shoot at somebody who's, you know, coming at him. You know, I get through, like, panic? I don't know. They're aliens, then.
Suck. Why do they just barrel into the tunnel and allow themselves to get gunned down? How embarrassing. Even if these aliens occasionally show sentience, it's so rare, and they act so stupid that they might as well just be dumb animals. Despite an intentionally comedic name, Cowboys and Aliens really devolves into CGI monsters getting shot with arrows, creatures with designs that have been obliterated by the passage of time. These things suffer from the Cloverfield monster look. Not exactly a bug, kind of reptilian, upright posture but with bigger front legs. What was once an innovative take on monster design in 2011 has just been repeated over and over so much that it's kind of a cliche of its own now. These could have been monsters from the center of the earth, giant bugs, or hell, demons.
Demons? What are you talking about?
Has anything
Talking about Bible stuff? Demons.
It doesn't matter. It wouldn't have changed a thing. In an effort to make the aliens fit this gritty Western world, they sort of lost the point of what makes this mashup so interesting. And it's a shame, because I think with a few tweaks, they really could have made this premise work. Make the aliens smarter, more recognizably alien.
Yeah.
Make them competent shots. Have them show a little bit more sentience, and you got something good here. It's not a bad idea. It's an idea that could have been done in any era. It's an idea that would have been done a completely different way in any era. It's kind of funny that somehow this movie, with an inherently comedic premise, was greenlit in the late 2000s and early 2010s. You know, the era where everything was hardcore, the era of 7th gen piss filters, and Terminator Salvation, the greatest era of all. Cowboys and Aliens is a movie that could have been done in any other decade, but I love that it was done in the one time where grit and edge were all the rage, where Batman was turned into a crime thriller, where everything had a tone of yellow or blue. Seriousness was in, and it rocked. Hey, everyone gets that one era to cling on to. This was mine. The fact that this movie released in 2011 is baked into Cowboys and Aliens' DNA, and that both works for and against it. Like, think about if this movie was done in the 1950s. Would have been a standard sci-fi B-movie with John Wayne. Think about if it was done in the 1980s. Great. It'd be a more genuine but lighthearted blockbuster. In the 90s, it's a Tim Burton movie, but like late 90s Burton. And if it was made in the 2020s, it would have been done in that ironic way where the writers keep breaking the fourth wall and winking at the audience. Some character quips about how the whole idea is very stupid.
This makes no sense.
Now,
God, that's one of those things that I don't like about, you know, many like modern movies. Like I don't want us to go back to like you know, the late 2000s like super grit, but I just want people to take what's happening in the movies a little seriously, please.
Sure, inspired artists independent of the general Hollywood trends could have made this movie however they wanted, regardless of time period. But Cowboys and Aliens is not an independent outsider movie. This was first and foremost PG-13 summer popcorn fluff. And the trend, even in summer movies, in this specific period of time, was to appear as cool and serious as possible. Like I said before, Terminator Salvation. Washed out colors, heavy filter, hell yeah. Cowboys and Aliens' first hour works so well because it was in this era. But then, as the movie goes on, it just gets worse. Okay, so the earliest drafts of the script were done by Steve Odenkirk. Yes, that's Steve Odenkirk, creator of Jimmy Neutron and Barnyard. Imagine how that would have turned out. Could have been incredible. Universal wanted to make this a little less silly, so they had a rewrite. But the rewrite had the opposite problem, and future drafts ended up being too serious. They kept going back and forth. Roberto Orci just didn't know what to do. How does someone balance serious action and humor in the same script without going overboard? Hey, I know.
Iron Man. Okay. Okay.
So Iron Man. Iron Man was huge. No duh, right? Like, they're still milking Robert Downey Jr. But in the late 2000s, in terms of superhero blockbusters, Iron Man was still seen as revolutionary.
I am Iron Man.
And these chuckle nuts loved Iron Man so much, they just decided to get Jon Favreau to direct. Which seems a little odd, right? Like, they had a graphic novel to base the movie off of. Why not just use Cowboys and Aliens for the prime inspiration for Cowboys and Aliens?
Exactly!
It was a top seller. People clearly liked it. It's why the movie got greenlit in the first place. The comic was already based on early screen drafts, so why change the final movie? If it ain't broke, why fix it? Well, I have to break this to you. Despite being based on earlier drafts, the comic has absolutely nothing to do with the movie.
I guessed as much. I had never heard of this comic at all. I want to see a comparison of the plots.
They literally just share a name. The only thing these two share in common is that they're both about cowboys and aliens. Which you wouldn't know judging by the cover because they just replaced it with the movie. These are two entirely separate stories. This man does not appear in the comic at all. They are lying. They don't even have the same aliens. In the comic, the aliens are aliens. They speak
green
words.
men.
They shoot guns. They're like an empire that has their own subservient underlings. There's no hand-wrist Iron Man weapon. The cowboys just fight back with alien versions of cowboy things.
Oh,
like
God,
a lasso.
I love that.
It was a goofier version of the idea for sure. A lot of fun to be had. It also brought up genocide a lot. Yeah, so the comic really liked to bash you over the head with the whole irony that these cowboys were fighting to stop their land from being conquered by aliens, despite the fact that the cowboys and American settlers
were doing the exact same thing. Yeah,
man, it really makes you think. The original comic is honestly the Apache and aliens. Very little cowboys. The natives are the ones who have far more initiative. They discover the aliens in the first place. This guy is a perv. Did Scott forget the premise of his own comic? Who's to say? Despite that heavy subject matter, the comic ends like a Saturday morning cartoon, where the cowboys and Indians.
I'm sorry, what was that from?
The comic ends like a Saturday morning cartoon.
I think I've seen this before, but it was a clip on Twitter, and it was like people pointing out how, the clip I saw on Twitter, people were pointing out like how janky the animation was because like everything was drawn. There was no like smear frames or anything. Like, but I still don't know what this is from. Like, what is this from?
Where the cowboys and Indians learn to get along despite their differences. The end. That was the best-selling graphic novel that spawned the movie. Or, you know,
Seller.
the idea that spawned the movie. All that mattered, though, was that the idea sold. That best-selling label was now certifiable proof that some people did give a shit about this idea. So, they greenlit the movie. Which is
and basically just cut its face off and put it on another body and just claimed it was the same thing.
Really funny because nobody actually bought this thing. Yeah, even in 2011, nobody heard of Cowboys and Aliens, the graphic novel. At least until the movie was getting made. Nobody had heard of this comic before and nobody cared. But Universal didn't know that.
Wait.
This is the tale of Scott Rosenberg, the man that pulled off one of the greatest heists in Hollywood history, the man who tricked a studio into greenlighting his idea. It also might not have even been his idea, but that's a whole other can of worms.
Of course.
I'm not getting into that. The 2000s had a lot of comic book films, and they weren't just Marvel movies or even DC. Studios greenlit movies based on independent graphic novels, stuff like 300, Sin City, Watchmen, or Hellboy. But you know what's better than being based on a graphic novel? Being based on a best-selling graphic novel. And Scott knew it. So he took his dead movie idea from the late 90s and got to work. And when I mean he got to work, I really mean his writers and artists who he paid. Scott didn't actually do any artistic work of his own. Never misunderstand
of course, he was just
me
the
when
money.
I say Scott did something. The only thing Scott did was invest and profit. His job was to pay other people to do the work. He took those old script ideas that were lying around and passed them off to writers Fred Van Lente and Andrew Foley. The art was done by Dennis Calero and Luciano Lima, with coloring by Andrew Elder. In the credits, Scott had the title of creator. So, the following is information from an article by Rich Johnston, The Secret Story Behind Cowboys and Aliens. Finding any information about Scott Rosenberg is already difficult enough, and finding anyone who actually cares about Cowboys and Aliens since 2011 is basically impossible.
I was gonna say, like, I was wondering why he hadn't been using, like, an actual picture of the guy. So, I mean, is this Scott just, like, really good at having never had his picture taken and put on the internet?
So, just for the sake of transparency, this is simply one side of the story. I don't know Scott's version. I don't have much else to go off of. All I have to go off of is rumor, Scott's reputation, and things that allegedly went down according to Rich Johnston. Okay, so Scott's scheme was to make this comic sell as much as possible. To make that number as big as it could be. Because the bigger the number, the more impressive it would be to studios. That doesn't sound so bad, right?
Yeah.
Every artist wants their work to be seen. They want their art to be popular.
Is this going to be a case of where he had it published and then bought all of the copies himself and just had them burned or something like that?
Well, Scott really didn't care if his work was popular, or even if it was seen. He just wanted it to sell. And the first step in this scheme even began when deciding to make this a graphic novel instead of a comic. Comics are quick and disposable. Graphic novels aren't. Graphic novels last. They're on the store shelves longer, and they're easier to sell. So that was the reason why Scott wanted Cowboys and Aliens to be a graphic novel. Next was to try to get stores to carry this graphic novel once it was completed. And when nobody cared to do that, Scott just paid them to. Scott just paid stores to carry his graphic novel. And then, to make sure it sold even better, instead of selling at the average price of $10 to $15, each Cowboys and Aliens copy was sold at $5. But even then, it goes deeper. And I'm just gonna quote the article.
Okay, so... Jeez, okay, so he's altering, like, every variable here. Okay.
Correctly for this one. Diamond Comics Distribution, whose sales chart he wished to be at the top of, defined a graphic novel as costing $9.99 or more. So he did a deal with Top Cow, part of Image, to list the graphic novel alongside theirs in Diamond's catalog. Image, as one of the 4 brokered publishing partners of Diamond, could alter the terms of what did or did not count as a graphic novel.
Really?
Rosenberg contacted a number of prominent stores on the East and West Coasts and arranged to give them a check to cover the cost of ordering 5 figures worth of the graphic novel for their stores. And they did, selling the comic when it arrived for 50 cents, or giving them away free with any purchase, eventually giving them away free to anyone who walked in, and then just throwing them away in a dumpster. But they all counted towards the Diamond chart. So
this is why you can't trust bestseller charts. It's like, they can be so easily manipulated.
So once again, This is all allegedly.
Yeah,
But what
yeah,
it sounds
quote-unquote.
like is that Scott gamed the system. Cowboys and Aliens was not a comic that grew naturally because people were fans of it. It was a comic that was pushed to distributors by its creator using his connections that he already had. He then made this thing as cheaply as possible to stores and readers alike, so it would technically qualify as a sale on a best-selling chart. This thing was an actual industry plant created by a single money man in the industry.
Okay, so now I have to wonder. So, like, obviously, you know, he sold the rights to, you know, to have the movie made and stuff like that. I have to wonder, what was the profit he made? Because so far everything I'm seeing is, you know, he of course had to pay, you know, the writers and artists to make it. He then had to pay the stores to actually carry it, and then he didn't even charge that much for the book itself. So, like all of these things he's losing money on or not making that much money back at all. So, like, how lucrative was the sales deal for the story rights?
And it worked. Once Cowboys and Aliens had the numbers, no matter how artificial they were, Universal took another look at it and greenlit the idea. Put everyone behind it, all the stars, all the visionaries, all believing in this adaptation of a best-selling comic whose status was built on lies. Scott knew it, but he didn't care. This guy spent a decade trying to get a stupid cowboy movie made, and by golly did he get his wish. He even got Steven Spielberg praising his comic.
The graphic novel of Cowboys and Aliens captured all of our imaginations.
Spielberg, what are you talking about? Nobody read this thing. You didn't read this thing.
Captured all of our imaginations.
At first glance, Cowboys...
Wait, I just noticed in that one frame were the Native Americans riding on flying horses? Like, what was going on there?
and Aliens is a decent but forgettable summer blockbuster that vastly underperformed despite having so much talent surrounding it. But dig a little deeper, and it's a lot funnier than that. Cowboys and Aliens is really the story of a single man who gaslit a major Hollywood studio into buying his shitty idea, all because he successfully hacked the small market of independent graphic novels. With enough dedication, this talentless entrepreneur got all the titans of the film industry together to bring a story to life that an 8-year-old would have come up with. A Far Side comic turned feature film, and after that imploded, Scott was never heard from again. Today, there have been far bigger box office bombs than Cowboys and Aliens, bombs that would have made this seem like a mere firecracker in comparison, bombs you people wouldn't believe. This was really just the little boy for what was to come. Modern Hollywood now has bombs like Cowboys and Aliens that come out every month. Cowboys and Aliens is pretty unremarkable, and you most likely won't remember the plot the second this video ends. But if there's anything I want you to take away from this tale, it's that with enough money, you too can have Steven Spielberg pretend that he likes your idea.
Jeez, okay. You know, I'm gonna have to go into the basement and see if I can find where our DVD is and just see if we can watch it again. Just to, like, you know, watch the movie again with a first perspective, because because, like, as he said, like, it was one of those things where, like, I watched the movie we watched it, like, maybe once or twice, and then it was just stuck in the cabinet and never watched again. And up until this video, I have literally never thought of this video, this movie, since right now. And the fact that it has all this weird history where it was literally, like, the definition of an industry plant. Oh, God, that is absolutely nuts. Honestly. That is fascinating. Oh, God. But yeah, I mean, honestly, I'm gonna have to go through and see what other, like, bad movies I have in our collection and just maybe watch them again just for old time's sake. See if they hold up to childhood nostalgia. Oh, God. But yeah, that's definitely going to be it for now. So, yeah, of course, as always, originals linked in the description. And yeah, I hope you guys liked. If you did, leave a like, subscribe if you have not, and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.